Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office Show. Happy Monday, Thanksgiving week. My daughter's off from school for the week, so that's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun week, I think, around the NBA. Keith, I'll tell you what. Thanksgiving's already always a little bit disappointing because there's no basketball on that day. I think we need to change that. If the NFL is going to encroach upon Christmas the way we knew they were, the second we had an NFL Sunday, it was a few years back, that was on Christmas Day. Then the NFL got a taste of Christmas games. We knew they weren't going back, and so now we're seeing football on Christmas. That's always been the NBA's day. Let's put basketball games on Thanksgiving. Not a lot, but a few marquee matchups. Why not? Fight fire with fire.
Yeah, good luck with that one. The NBA is not going to toss away a couple games, nor are the players probably going to give up one of their few days off that they get throughout the course of the season.
True.
I will say, though, I know you're not big on college hoops. There's some good college basketball on Thanksgiving. So if you find yourself, I need some hoops, there's some good college games on. There's Florida and Wake Forest. That should be a good one. That's here at Disney in the Disney tournament. And then the big one is 4:00 in the afternoon, Arkansas and Illinois. So you have your Thanksgiving lunch if you're a Thanksgiving lunch person, and wake up from your nap, make a turkey sandwich, and watch Arkansas, Illinois, which is loaded with draft prospects on both teams there. So that's I know that's what I'll be doing Thanksgiving afternoon.
I may have to check that one out. All right. Well, let's get into it because we've got plenty of news to get into this week. By the way, I'm assuming we probably won't do it unless something happens. Kevin Durant gets traded or something like that at 2 a.m. We probably won't have a show on Thanksgiving, just to give everybody a heads up. But other than that, we should be around. So let's
will try to do Front Office Friday. Provided things aren't too crazy. But
we may Black Friday.
Yeah, we may do it a little weird because there's games starting at noon on Friday this week. Knicks and Hornets, NBA Cup Day. This is kind of almost mirrors the Christmas Day schedule. We get games at noon, 2:30, 5, and then we get into the night window with a bunch of games at 7:30 and then a 10 o'clock window as well. But a whole bunch of games going on. So we'll get to that if we'll figure out how to work around the Knicks Hornets. Maybe we'll do it during it.
It'll be a little combo of overtime and Front Office Friday.
Yeah,
that's the man. But speaking of which, we need to do an overtime show pretty soon.
Yeah, we do. We got to figure that out. And then you know what? Nice little combo. That's what Black Friday is about, right? It's you get deals.
Let's go.
So we're gonna give you a little deal on Friday.
That's right. All right, Keith, where do we want to start? I guess we can start here. Kristaps Porzingis' return. It's always nice, even when it's a Celtic, Keith. Always nice when you see talented players getting back, getting healthy. And this is, given what's gone on in the NBA so far this season, just the unrelenting nature of the injury bug this year. It's nice to finally get some reports about players returning and not leaving.
Yeah, without a doubt. We've got another major player coming back that we're going to talk about here in a little bit as well. And then unfortunately had another rotation guy go down for the season, but we're starting to, I don't want to say we're rounding the corner because I certainly don't want to put that on anything, but we are starting to see some guys get back. New Orleans got Trey Murphy back. Jordan Hawkins is back. For them, we're going to talk about DeJounte Murray in a minute. But for the Celtics, this is somewhere in the range of 2 to 4 weeks, maybe earlier than some expected. There was a thought he would be maybe back for the Christmas game. I think I talked about it last week that it was going to be before then. For sure, because he looked so good. And if you've watched Celtics games, a regular occurrence is clips of him going really hard pregame. And it looks like he's getting ready to play that night. And here it comes. My guess is you're going to see him play very limited minutes early on, probably no more than 15 to 20. They'll really watch him. They're probably not going to play him in back-to-backs very often, if at all. He'll probably split those with Al Horford, which was kind of a tactic they took at times last year. But this is huge for the Celtics. They get their big guy back, and just another key player return in the lineup for them after they got a big win yesterday on Sunday afternoon against Timberwolves. They're rolling there. They're actually ahead of last season's pace. Win-wise. Last year they were 13-4.
And it doesn't feel like it because the Cavs were killing everybody for so long, huh? That's
absolutely. It definitely felt like Cleveland had kind of raced out ahead of everybody else and still have, right? They're what are they now? 17-1, 16-1, whatever it is, they're still absolutely rolling. But the Celtics are, they're good. It doesn't seem quite as good as last year. The defense hasn't been quite up to par where we used to see it. The offense is not performing at a historic level like they were a year ago, but they're still winning and still winning at a pretty good clip.
I wonder how much of that is just that championship hangover too. Just kind of we know we don't have to push down on the gas pedal right now, so let's not. Let's wait. That can certainly be a thing. But obviously, having no issues winning games. Right. Yeah. And so Porzingis returning tonight. I believe they're taking on the Clippers, returning for a matchup there. And that's a team that has proven to be, well, maybe they're not among the best of the best. They are certainly a team that'll give you a fight any given night. So this will be, I think it'll be interesting to see, especially since Ivica Zubac has been one of the best rebounding bigs in the NBA period all season. He's been a problem for a team. So I think that's going to be an exciting matchup to see Porzingis having to deal with a big like Ivica Zubac right out of the gate.
Yeah, and both teams are on a back-to-back, but that at least they're both on a back-to-back. The Clippers didn't have to travel all that far because they were in Philadelphia. That's one of the shorter trips. But Clippers are winning with defense. They're fifth in the league in defense, and they've got. You probably wouldn't think that with no Kawhi Leonard and a team led by James Harden.
Right.
But they put a bunch of guys who are just really tough defenders on the floor at all times. Chris Dunn is starting now. He's been that's a change that they made even before Norman Powell went out. They moved Dunn into the starting group, and they were just going smaller because they were having trouble containing opposing ball handlers. And Dunn's an incredible on-ball defender. And then Zubac, like you said, is cleaning up everything back at the rim and grabbing rebounds, blocking shots, finishing on the offensive end. The Clippers are tough. They're certainly a lot better than I think either you or I thought they would be, especially once it was announced Kawhi was not going to be available.
Yeah, I mean Chris Dunn and Amir Coffey in their starting lineup, and they're 11-7 on the season. I mean, I have to imagine they'll take that. I've been really impressed with Derrick Jones Jr. I was concerned that there was going to be maybe you get the guys that have a really good contract year season and then take a step back. That's not been the case with Derrick Jones Jr. He's been really good for the Clippers. Had a great lob dunk the other night against the 76ers. Keith, it was kind of sad. I was checking out the highlights of this game. This is the Clippers box score from that game. I was checking out the highlights of this game and just kind of going through it, and I realized, oh my God, like every highlight is a Clippers highlight, and there's nothing for the poor 76ers.
Yeah, that game was pretty gross. I did not spend a lot of time on that one. I did notes on 5 games from last night for the basketball bulletin. Those are up, including clips from several of those games in there. This was not one of them. I bailed on this one very quickly because I was like, there's nothing to be learned here. This is going to be an absolute rollover blowout, and that's exactly what we got.
All right, well, let's move on to our next topic here, and this is an interesting one. The Pelicans stars Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson changing agencies. Now, particularly with Ingram, I think this is something, and maybe for Zion as well, as maybe we do eventually hit a point here where the Pelicans have to make a decision on what they want to do with Zion. But with Brandon Ingram, we certainly know the Pelicans are going to do what they can to move him prior to the trade deadline. I know they don't want to be the team unless BI suddenly decides he's going to take a much smaller deal on his next contract. But right now, the thinking is that the Pelicans don't want to be the team to pay him on his next contract, which means the clock is ticking for them to move on from him. And changing agencies may be a sign that, because agencies do get involved in helping to facilitate trades and find deals and things of that nature, A sign perhaps that even Brandon Ingram is getting prepared for that eventuality.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes too, it can be, let's find the trade and get it set up for your next contract
Yes.
after you make that trade. So that could be something we see as well. Here, you've pulled up their salary sheet with Zion. A lot of the reporting around this is it's also come out that when he was drafted, he made it clear, I want to play for the Knicks. That's where I want to be. That did not happen. Has not happened in the 6 years since. And here we are in New Orleans. Yeah, I'm gonna throw this at you. I don't want to go too deep into a lot of this because I just wrote a piece for Spot Track that'll be up probably by the time most people hear this. They can go read it, so I don't want to step all over that piece because it's all about the Pelicans.
Mm-hmm.
Zion Williamson has. Yeah, I'm gonna give you two numbers here. He has the max games he could have played in so far with the Pelicans is 407. How many games do you think he's played in his career?
198.
Oh, you were so close.
Really?
190.
Wow.
Less
okay.
than half.
Give myself a pat on the back for that.
46%.
Wow.
Yeah, that is just, that's part of why, like, the conversation around Zion is, do you look at trading him? Maybe. There's even been some corners where you're hearing, do you just waive him and get out of the contract? And did not right now, but like at the end of the season, if you can't find a trade, do you move? Do you go that way? So it's that both of those things can seem completely unthinkable. I'll step on my piece a little. I don't think you waive him. That seems ludicrous to consider. But trading
not
him,
when you can get value for him in a trade.
Yeah, that's it. That's not so crazy as it once you would have thought. Even a couple years ago, you would have been like, well, you can't trade him. Like you live with it that he misses games, but 190 out of 407 games and 0 out of 10 playoff games.
Oh my gosh.
In his career. So
let's say the Pelicans blast it out to the league. David Griffin sends it in the GM group text that I'm sure definitely exists, says we're taking offers on Zion Williamson. Which teams are making that call?
Oh boy. You know who should be?
Who?
It's going to be the same one I'm going to say for this every time it comes up.
Is it the Hornets?
Oh, I'm going to say Oklahoma City.
Oh.
Because
that's
why
interesting.
Not, right? You can probably absorb him missing some games. You can probably get there pretty easy. Now, this year it'll be really hard because if you're going to trade Hartenstein, you're going to leave yourself super small, and then you don't have Williamson and Chet Holmgren. But let's say it's next summer. You trade Hartenstein as the primary salary match. You go into next year, and because you can plus it up with so many picks, you could probably keep Jalen Williams. Let's say you go into next year with a starting group of Chet Holmgren, Zion Williamson, Jalen Williams, SGA, and I don't really care who the fifth guy is. You can live with not having Zion in there.
Good Lord.
It's that easy.
The money works just with Isaiah Hartenstein. Now, if I'm the Pels, are you really like, if you're trading BI, you just accept that this season you've already been crushed by injuries. We're going to bottom this thing out. You trade Ingram, you trade Zion, and you try to get as much future draft capital as you can. I do wonder if they would be able to pry another piece from OKC in this kind of a deal.
Yeah. You're going to get a couple picks and maybe, I don't know, maybe you could get Case and Wallace or
That's
something
what I was
like
looking
that.
at.
Yeah.
Wallace as being an interesting guy to maybe grab. And then you go from there and then you kind of reset the future in New Orleans. And if you are OKC, you're talking about pairing Zion and Chet long term. Now, but that's also a lot of, Chet's obviously dealt with injuries. He's out hurt right now. Is that enough reason if you're OKC to make you think, maybe we shouldn't do that?
It's going to give you pause, right? You're going to have the conversation. But Chet's injuries don't seem like injuries that are going to be like Zion's injuries now seem like these are just going to be things that happen. Chet had the freak foot injury
Yeah.
Before his rookie year, what would have been his rookie year. Then this year was just a complete collision where he went down. Now, I don't know that he's going to be a 75 plus games guy every single year, year in, year out, but I don't
Sure.
think he's going to be a 40 games missed at least every year guy either. And why I say they can afford it is if you could keep Jalen Williams, you still have Chet, SGA, and Jalen Williams most nights when Zion's not playing. So if you can be like, all right, hey, the way to move forward is keep him in the 45 to 50 games a year range and we'll manage him. Like, dude, like, come on, man. Like, I'd be all over that. And then if you're the Pelicans, I'm starting over with next season, Hartenstein. Let's since we're living in fantasy land, let's dream
Sure.
big. Cooper Flag. And they got Trey Murphy. They still got DeJounte Murray.
Yep.
Like, I've got that's the pretty bones of a pretty nice group there in New Orleans. You still have, Hawkins. You maybe you trade CJ McCollum and rebalance something there. Like, you've still got a team that you're feeling pretty good about. I think the rest of this year probably sucks.
And you already added Yves
year,
Missi, who looks like a guy in the middle for them. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I could get on board.
All of a sudden it's like, all right, I could go there. So that's just kind of, that's where I would look first, right?
That's
would be OKC. It's the same thing with Joel Embiid, right? If Joel Embiid ever comes available, OKC should look at him. And again, it's the same thought process, right? We can manage if he doesn't miss so much because we have so many other guys on the roster.
Well, now keeping on this topic of teams that would be landing spots for stars if they become available. The Houston Rockets. Well, I guess here we should mention DeJounte Murray while we're on the Pelicans. Yeah. DeJounte Murray returning, or it looks like he's going to return as of right now, this coming Wednesday. So that's going to be, so welcome back, but dealing with a broken hand. That, again, we talk about Porzingis returning. It's nice to see good players getting back in action. The Pelicans have been hit harder than anybody else in the league injury-wise. So big deal for them to get DeJounte Murray back here.
Yeah, and if I'm the Pelicans, I'm looking at, all right, we've got about 3 to 4 weeks that I really want to see. Can we make a run? Can we, pull off, win 8 out of our next 10 or something like that? Get ourselves feeling a little bit better. Close in on, all right, now we're feeling like we're okay. Then maybe Zion comes back and we're feeling good about where we are. Maybe we do make a deal anyway involving like Ingram or something, and we go. And then, we're competitive the rest of the way. But if I can't make that run in the next few weeks, when trade season unofficially opens in mid-December, I am like, hey, if it's not Herb Jones, Murphy, or Hawkins, or probably Murray because we just traded for him, we're open to listening on Ingram. Definitely open to listening on CJ McCollum, and I'm open to listening on Zion Williamson too.
Yeah. I think that's where the Pelicans need to be at right now at this point. All right. The Houston Rockets are telling everyone who will listen that they are not interested in a big trade. Instead, they are prioritizing development. I still, like Keith, we talked about the other day, I don't totally buy it. Like if a team if Giannis was the example we used, is really on the market and they can get him, I'm sure they're going to have some degree of interest. But right now, the Rockets are trying to tell everybody, no, we're not just gearing up for the home run swing. We want to try to develop the talent that we've got on the roster right now.
Yeah, and I don't really have an issue with this. Like, I think this is fine in general. I think it's a good idea to, stay the course where it makes sense. But I'm with you. I don't fully buy that if the right star comes up in trade talks that they're not going to be all over it. But that's the important thing, right? You have to make sure it's the right guy. Because if you go out there and it turns into, let's just say they trade for Kevin Durant, then Kevin Durant goes the route of, he made it, 50 games over the next 2 seasons in total. Mm-hmm. Well, now it all fell apart on you, right? And it's like, well, we kind of blew up what we were building here and it didn't work. And that's sometimes the risk you have to take. Sometimes you have to figure that out. But I still think what's good for them, much like the Thunder, right? They're a couple years behind the Thunder in the growth curve, but you still could have so much left behind that's where you could be okay, right? Even if it's not the guy who is the perfect fit availability wise, you probably still have enough in reserve to make it work. So I think the story is this year is what it is. It's going to be more next off season, meaning like this coming off season. That's going to be when you're going to see the Rockets start to really make some noise.
And the Rockets right now, it's not like they're not making. I mean, they're the 3 seed in the Western Conference right now. They're 12-6. Yeah. So I understand too why, like,
is roster wise, like transaction.
Sure, yeah, absolutely, and I understand why. Given that they're the 3 seed right now, given that they're 12-6, if you have an opportunity, if the question is posed, are you interested in landing stars? You're not gonna like ruin the good vibes by saying, yeah, you know what. We need to get some of these young guys off the roster, and we need to go get a big time player. You're not going to say that right now.
No, 100%.
No, there's no way you're going to do that. So
here's the thing, though. Leave this page right where you have it because it's in the perfect spot. Steven Adams, Jeff Green, Jock Landale, Jayshawn Tate. None of those guys are key rotation guys for the Rockets. Adams and Landale kind of split the backup center minutes depending on who's available. Green doesn't play that often anymore. Tate doesn't play that often anymore. That's almost $40 million in expiring money, or pseudo expiring money because Landale's non-guaranteed next year.
Right, but that it can be expired. We call that the Ben Simmons, $40 million in expiring contracts.
So almost $40 million in expiring money that you can throw together without touching a single key rotation player in your deal. I'm not going to rule. I don't know that the Rockets are going whole hog here on let's trade, let's move Fred VanVleet and one of the kids to go get a star or something like that, or let's move 3 of the kids. But I'm not going to rule out that they don't make a major move here simply because you could throw all those different combinations together. I mean, you get to 20 plus million very easily. So they're able to be in on just about anybody who becomes available if they really want to get in that market. Let's say they decide, know what we need? We need a big time scoring wing because their biggest problem right now is the offense sometimes goes south on them. They could go get Brandon Ingram pretty easily without giving up another key rotation guy and just be like, okay, let's go.
Yeah. Brandon Ingram might make some sense for them. And as I recall, I don't have their draft capital in front of me, but as I recall, they've essentially shorted the future of the Phoenix Suns after they made that trade with the Brooklyn Nets picks. So you do have some future Suns picks in there that potentially you can move on from if the right deal, of course, came along. What about? I mean, I know you've got guys that play the position, but what about Zion to Houston?
Yeah, I mean, here's how I would approach that. If I'm not thinking I am slam dunk extending Jabari Smith Jr. next summer, then I'm open to having the Zion conversation as well. Like I would have the conversation of let's go get Zion and we'll figure it out and kind of go forward from there. And if he misses time, well, you know what? We still got Tari Eason. We've got Amon Thompson. We've got guys that we can, make work. We got Cam Whitmore. Maybe one of those guys is in the deal, but like we can make it happen. Like we can figure it out. So I'd at least listen, right? If I'm New Orleans, if they called me on Zion, I'd listen. And if I'm walking into the Rockets office to pitch trade ideas, Zion would be somebody I'd at least consider.
Yeah, it's definitely a conversation you have to have. All right, Keith, maybe we shouldn't have done it this way to end on a downer, but here it is. Actually, you know what? We'll end. I'll throw in a little unscheduled nonsense here to wrap things up. All right, that'll be fun. Grant Williams torn ACL, and that is a season ender, obviously, for him. We've got Porzingis returning, DeJounte Murray. We've got these guys that are returning. Trey Murphy's coming back, and Grant Williams, unfortunately, out for the season. I will say it feels like right now there are more players coming back than new injuries occurring, but still, this Grant Williams one is a bummer.
Even in Charlotte, this happens like a day or two after we get news that Mark Williams and Nick Richards, who are ostensibly the center tandem in Charlotte, and we just haven't seen it this year because Williams has been out and Richards has also been out. They are ramping up to a return. They should be back this week, it sounds like. for those two guys. And Grant Williams, who has, in my opinion, very admirably held down the both 4 or 5 spots for the Hornets, because Miles Bridges has also missed a little bit of time when they went super small and they were like, we got nothing else. Grant started at the 5 and did a solid job. Was having a nice year. Is he a great player? No, but he's a solid role player who can start when you need him to, come off your bench. You can play both the big positions and do a lot of good stuff. And yeah, he's out for the season. And that's for a Hornets team they're not great, but you kind of look at it and be like, oh, we get Mark Williams back, get Nick Richards back. We can improve our defense a little bit. We've got these other guys that are playing pretty well, like Brandon Miller's starting to really come on again and play really well. LaMelo Ball's been pretty good offensively. His defense is atrocious, and he commits the stupidest fouls of any player in the entire league over and over and over again, to the point where now he's getting benched at the end of games because Charles Lee is like, can't have you out here putting us in the bonus 6 minutes into the fourth quarter. Can't happen. So he gets benched. But anyway, there's talent there. And in the East, it's like, maybe we could make a run. We could make a little bit of a run here with these guys. And I know people, their draft picks, lottery protected. They don't want, I get it. I get all that. But, this is just a bummer that they're without Grant Williams now. And it just makes that road a little bit tougher for the Hornets.
Taking a look at the Hornets right now in the standings. They're sitting as here, let me move it so everybody can see it. They're sitting as the 12th seed right now in the Eastern Conference, but plenty of upward mobility. I mean, in terms of games back, they're in essentially a 3-way tie here for 10th, 11th, 12th.
Almost 7th.
Yeah, I mean, almost we're still early enough in the season where there's plenty of room to maneuver, up and down in the standings here. So we'll see what happens with the Hornets. Brandon, but the other day, they had a game the other day? I'm trying to remember who the opponent was, but I want to say Brandon Miller had 30 and LaMelo Ball had 50, and they lost.
Yeah,
that's not a great sign.
Yeah, their defense stinks. It's not good. Let me check so I don't say something completely out of turn here, but they've got to be all right. Well, not quite as bad as I thought. They're 19th in defense, which is showing some level of improvement.
Sounds better than my Lakers.
Let me check that foul rate because it's not very good. It's good. Yeah, they're 24th in opponent free throw rate. Like that, in 30th in their own free throw rate. So they don't make the game easy on themselves.
So you're at a big disadvantage at the free throw line every night.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not stealing any easy offense, and you're not and you're giving away too many points that way. So that makes it really hard to win games.
That stings. Hornets pun. Okay.
Well done. I didn't even notice it. I'm a little out of it. I'm way out of my routine. Family in town throws us all off.
Understand.
A little off my game.
Understandable. A little bit of family goes a long way. All right, let's go here. Let's finish with some unscheduled nonsense.
Do it.
So, Keith, I got asked a question. I was recording today's Lakers Nation podcast today. I was recording actually late last night. So I'm recording it because it goes out early the night before to channel members. So I was recording it. And I put all of our mailbag questions, our questions that I didn't get to post-game from the previous show, into my document and everything, and I was showing them on screen. And I hadn't read through all of them completely. I kind of skimmed just to make sure there's no obvious 4-letter words or something like that shouldn't appear on the screen. But I didn't really read the question. So I was met by a question that surprised me. And the question was, if you were offered $2.5 million post-tax, we get some random questions here, right? Post-tax. So taxes have already been taken out.
Amount of money.
Right. You actually get the $2.5 million. It's not $2.5 million, and then you got to give Uncle Sam a big chunk of that. It's you actually get $2.5 million. But the deal is you have to walk away from sports media. Are you doing that?
I mean, my easy answer is no, because this is how I make a living, and 2.5 million is not gonna. I don't think I can live off that the rest of my life. I mean, I have college to pay for, so that's gonna eat up a pretty big chunk.
I think if you,
soon, but yeah,
I think you could if you invested it correctly.
Sure, yeah, but I don't feel like I could do that. I don't know what I'm doing with that. I'd have to get a good money guy. I'd probably
get
hire
a financial planner.
Yeah, and then I'd be in trouble. Yeah, probably not. No. Now, if I felt like I could get any other job that I would like just as much, yeah, probably. Because like, can I not tweet at all about sports? Like, can I not like?
Yeah,
Can we just?
you're done. You like Kate the other
I
day.
can still
It felt
watch
really
sports.
weird, but I turned off tweet notifications for Woj.
Yeah, I did too.
That was so weird. That was so weird.
Yeah.
But like you
Yep.
do that.
Yeah,
You just
so
you
wrong.
walk away. You're no longer part of sports. Maybe you could go. I don't know. I would assume it means you can't work in sports at all. You can't go become like a GM or something like that. But
Oh man.
let's say you have to completely
This is
walk away
getting me
from
more.
sports.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as I can still watch sports, as if I could get another
Sure,
job.
I think that's
Like,
reasonable. You could
and
watch
like me
sport.
and
You
you
still
could
have,
still do this, just not put it out there to anybody in the world. We'll just talk to each
we
other.
just jump
Like,
on
okay,
every day
sure.
just to talk
Yeah.
basketball with
Yeah.
each other and break
Yeah, just
everything
so
down.
yeah, I get to talk hoops with my buddies. So all right, I could probably make it work. I don't know. That's tough though. It's probably
Right?
not enough, to be honest. Like I'd probably need
Which
more.
is crazy because I mean, Keith, I know you're the same way. Growing up, it was always like, oh my gosh, what if you had $1 million,
Yeah.
right? Like that was always the thing. Now it's like 2.5 million. You're like, is that enough? I don't, you know what I mean? Like just that's, hey, thanks inflation, right? That's the way it goes. But
when I was in second grade, a girl I went to school with, shout out to Michelina. I don't know whatever became of her. I don't even remember her last name. But she, her family won $1 million in the lottery. And like it was like, oh my God, like they were instantly like for second grader in the small town I grew up in, they were instantly the richest people I knew. So it was like, man, and like, yeah, and they bought this massive house. Like they moved like a few towns over into one of the richer towns and this massive house. And went on, I remember like they went on this like big, like I think it was like a 3-week long trip to Florida and did like Disney for like but like all out and all kinds of stuff. Cause it was like to your point, it was $1 million. And it was like, oh my gosh, but that was also longer ago than I care to admit. Long
that
ago,
$1 million goes a lot farther back then than it does now.
Yeah. That said, if someone wants to donate us $1 million, we'll very happily split it between the two of us, and we'll without complaint.
For sure. For sure. Yes. Yeah, we definitely would. See, I was thinking about it. Like I was thinking like this is what I do. This is what I love doing. You're the same way. We love doing this. And so that would be hard. And so the question would really become, is that enough to where you are independently wealthy? And I think if you planned it correctly, yes, you could. And by independently wealthy means I don't have to work for money anymore. If I work, it's because I want to work, not because I need the money. So that's what financial independence would be all about. And so the thing for me, the trade-off would be, okay, I would be essentially buying time with that money, right? Because then I wouldn't have to spend the time that I do working, the time away from family and things like that. And I could just spend time with family. So it's an interesting thing. And I think you're right. I think it would come down to, is there something else that I would want to do that would be fulfilling? Because otherwise, yes, you would have more time, but would you be happy about what you're doing? Maybe not. So anyway, as Studio Stu jumps in to remind me that I have to pay for cat food. So one way or another, I need to make sure that that I can cover the cat food for him.
Yeah, if it meant I had to go back to a 9-to-5 office job, the answer is 100% no. Like there's like no, like I've said it over and over again. I loved my job with Disney that I had, but like the idea of going into an office 9 to 5 again, Monday to like, it makes, honestly like gives me like a bad shiver, like down my spine. Like no chance. I don't want to put real pants on that many days in a week. Like
I am wearing sweats right now.
Yeah, I'm wearing basketball shorts because it's warmed back up enough here and then I'm good. So yeah, I don't want to put real pants on. Like,
but there is a number. Like, what if it was 3 million? What if it was 4 million?
Oh yeah, I mean,
right?
Ted DiBiase taught us, man. Like
everybody has $1 million man.
Yeah, at some point we're just negotiating, right? Like we've established that do it. Now we're just negotiating the price.
So the bottom line, if anybody out there with deep pockets wants to conduct a social experiment of what happens if you were to take a sports media career away from two sports media people, and if you want to document it or something like that and post it, we'll talk. we'll talk.
Yeah,
We can
sure.
we
Hit
can
us up.
negotiate a little bit if you want to hit us up.
In the interim, I'll answer a question that was asked, or a comment that was thrown out in one of our shows where we mentioned the basketball bulletin. We've been pumping out content there, and somebody said, "Why a paywall on the pieces?" Because we need to make a living. Like putting it very simply, it helps. That is income that helps Trevor and I continue to do this and not have to take your $2.5 million to walk away. That's why. And on that note, we've kept it as low as we are allowed to make it.
Literally.
Yeah, we can't go any lower than that. And we throw out one free piece a week that you get the whole thing. And you even get, if you subscribe, you get part of each one of the articles for free anyway, even with that. So you're missing some content. You're going to start putting a lot more of the draft stuff up here as we go. I had draft notes at the end of last week that went out. So, check all that stuff out. But that's why. That's the real simple answer.
Absolutely. And I've got a bunch of stuff going on the Basketball Bulletin YouTube channel, which is careening towards 10,000 subscribers. This is we're picking up some momentum there for sure. So guys, make sure you check that out.
Very mad. So everybody subscribe right now, so I don't have to be angry over the holidays.
That's right. That's right. We don't want that. You don't want to spend an angry Thanksgiving. But all right, everybody, we appreciate all of you for joining the show here. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on those notifications as well. Till next time, see you and stay safe.